Liminal spaces, lost in unknowable loneliness of modern architecture. Liminal spaces are those weird, atmospheric, and sometimes eerie places that look like the gateway to another realm. In fact, they're a bit hard to explain, prompting discussions about what constitutes as a liminal space. Perhaps it's the abandoned subway station under New York City, the synagogue, perhaps. Anything that was once a place of much transportation, now empty. As to say always, perhaps it's school when nobody's there. In fact, what do we know for sure? Liminal spaces are the spaces in between where you are and where you want to be. Liminal spaces are the loading zone. Today I'll be reading this article by Sapukaru Online articles, Liminal Spaces in the Era of Realizing False Promises. Before we get to this video, my name is Nigam Axioms, and I strive to talk about the things that the internet doesn't talk about, and to look deeper into the human conscious. So, as always, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. If you want to look at the links in my bio, let me sell you stuff for some money. And with that said, let's get into this video. This article is part of an ongoing series, RAMCPU for Sabukaru, examining the intersection of art, information, and aesthetics. RAMCPU shares its uniquely critical perspective on contemporary art and media to shape the discourse between various disciplines and schools of thought. Now that there was a very studious paragraph right here. This could pass as a college paragraph, like a college essay, in my opinion. But let's get into this. Most people can agree that the majority of photos that are submitted on r/liminal space and era share that special quality of being a bit off, and that offness is indeed what makes a liminal space liminal. Can you really look at the empty hallway in the middle of the city and say that's a liminal space? Probably not, because it feels normal. There is no such thing as a comfortable liminal space, yet we feel so comforted when we look at these liminal spaces. The word liminal can be defined as what we said in the past, a threshold, which is barely perceptible. There's not really a way you can just define a liminal space. We know the definition of liminal, but a threshold could be a ghostly space before completing a rite of passage, or the ambiguous space in which we're transitioning into another form. Liminal spaces are perhaps the unknowable, or the unspeakable, spaces that seem to be ever present in our dreams. Notice that every dream you have is pretty much a liminal space. Really, think about that. This is not an article, just me speaking right now. Nigam Axioms. Every dream that you've had was probably set in a liminal space. Matter of fact, there is a screenshot, like there's a snapshot in my head of a city that I saw in my dream one day. It was in a meadow, a straight meadow, right? Just imagine a meadow right now. Close your eyes. You watching this video. Close your eyes and imagine with me. I want to visualize this with you. Imagine a meadow the size of the Grand Canyon. It's just grass. Now imagine there's a road that goes straight through this meadow. Looks perfect, no potholes, no nothing. And in the middle of this meadow lies a city. The city has a lot of skyscrapers, but no suburbs, and it's just the city. The city is empty, and the only person who inhabits it is me in this dream. That right there is a liminal space. That right there also has a lot of qualities that come from my own personal life experiences. But the reason it feels liminal is because I'm the only one there. And the uncanniness that comes from it is because I know that's not real. There are places that appear real, but because of their strange aura, we know for sure that they're indeed fictitious. Why liminality? The reason why we're fascinated with these images of vacant, abandoned, and eerie locations is that, for the most part, they represent the false promises of the modern era. Perhaps the best liminal space photos are the ones that show some type of modern architecture. It could be a home, a commercial property, or inside the hotel of a mall. Perhaps one from a time that's passed. These photos usually have no human subjects in the photos, and in some cases, interior spaces have no windows at all. Sometimes these claustrophobic images help us understand the loneliness and futility of modern architectural achievements. Without the distraction of living subjects in the photos, the sometimes absurd spaciousness helps us realize that even in the comfort of our own home, neighborhood, or city, we're nothing more than an artificial desert, one made to distract us from the reality and spontaneity of our natural world. The concrete jungle is nothing to be glamorized, in my opinion. When you're walking the concrete jungle, there's no life around you. Even if there's a city in the middle of the street by Brooklyn, that's one tree. Why choose that when you could be out in the fields? Right? That's a question for you to think about. You watching this video. And this is coming from somebody who wanted to live in the city for a while. And now that I'm in the position where I get to visit the city a lot, I realize that there really is a lot of comfort being in the rural. But even worse. These interior spaces are like chambers. Bruh, this article is repeating the same thing like over and over again, but in different fonts. But it's giving me something to add off, so let's keep getting to this. Hey, if you're watching this video, I know for a fact you like liminal spaces. I like liminal spaces too. Nobody's talking about liminal spaces. Everybody loves to babble about backrooms. But liminal spaces are a different subject. Because quick side tangent, you don't see found footage of liminal spaces. You only see found footage of backrooms. And I'm trying to see some found footage of liminal spaces. Like, as much as I would be against artificial intelligence being able to go into our mind, such as like being able to see somebody's dream, it would be great being able to enter my own dream and see things with a camera and like record my dreams. If you get what I'm trying to say. But back to this. It's one thing to be lost in the wilderness, but to be lost in the hallways of your own creation, that is another thing entirely. The false promises of modern life. The promises that the American dream was we needed, that it was worth sacrificing for. Today, with many families achieving a version of the suburban urban life, access to information and the people, the internet revealed to many of us. The idea of industry, suburbia, and consumption was a bit misleading. We couldn't buy our friends and family. People fundamentally do not want to be bought. Well, yeah, fundamentally, and also just like, have we not learned anything from like the past 400 years of human existence? The falsehood is only reinforced by liminal spaces to show that lonely house on the hill, the home meant to be a place for safety, for some felt like the most unsafe place in the world. Take the American Mall, the one that opened down the street from you. That one that promised to grant your family all the security through consumption. With every piece of clothing bought, maybe you'd feel a little happier, they told you. Of course, these institutions that promised us glory through purchases fell short every time, before vanishing, leaving a decaying shell of its former self. Every time I'd walk into Best Buy, though. Every time I'd walk into Blockbuster. Yes, for people wondering. Yes, Blockbuster was in my life. I'm vintage. No, I'm just playing. I'm not. Every time I'd walk into Blockbuster, I'd feel this sense of happiness every time I chose a movie. I'd choose this movie. My parents would rent it out. I'm pretty sure it was rent. It was either rent or buy. But that charm only lasted till the moment I bought the movie. After that, it's like the dopamine hit, and that was it. Take a drink of water real quick. This notion and fascination of abandonment, or decay, is not only explored in the West as it is, and relates to American dream, but may also be discovered in countries like Japan. Take Shan, Tom's book, Hakyo, The Modern Ruins of Japan. For example, in it, he highlights some of the most fascinating shows of modern expansion on the continent, exploring the captured loneliness of gaming centers, amusement parks, and medical centers. Now, excuse me, I'm gonna cough real quick. Damn. Alright, back to it. With liminal spaces as a subject of inquiry, we allow people to share their painful memories in a subtle and tasteful way, where we all can imagine a world without us, a world without human beings, a world where our larger-than-life creations are left behind. Will ghosts take over? Will our fantasies and lust for world dominance haunt those lost structures even after we're gone? Or perhaps will nature take them over? With liminal spaces, we're able to come to terms with the confusing memories of our past and simultaneously imagine a future that will inspire us to build a better world than the one we are born into. So, What do you think? What feelings do you get from liminal spaces? And that right there, that was the article. And I'll say it again about the author. RAMCPU is a writer, philosopher, creator of the media theory known as arcadeism. Ram writes about media, arts, arcades, and internet subcultures. So, now it's just you and me watching this video. I have to ask you, watching this video, I've released damn near 3 videos about backrooms. If you're still watching this video, it means that hunger is still there. And I'm here to feed you guys, every one of you guys. What do you guys want to see about the liminal space community and the backrooms? If you guys have anything in mind, by all means, comment, like, and subscribe. Tell me something. I like to hear the thoughts about you guys. So with that said, until next time, as always, my name is Document Axioms, and this is the community I stand for. Greatness is coming. Until then, stay hydrated.